Something that you haven't touched on yet, though you probably have anticipated is my next topic already, is that so far everything you've been describing has been agents acting on their own, really, or we haven't talked about them working in concert. So
Yeah.
let's talk about teams of AI agents. What kind of governance and orchestration frameworks do you foresee emerging to manage ensembles of agents responsibly at scale?
Yeah, this is, it's funny when agents, we built our first autonomous agents over a year ago now. Right? We built a 2-agent system to write research reports way before this was cool. And probably less than a year ago, I showed those agents to the leadership team, and that kind of got us all thinking about it. And now we built lots and lots of agents that we've been able to build them that run CNC machines and do all kinds of things. But they're not necessarily fully in production, but we've been working with this for a long time. And what we learned is the real value of an agent is not an agent in isolation. It's just like the real value of a person is not an individual. It's a collective. We do much better when we have multiple people working together on complex tasks. Turns out agents follow the same pattern. Now, we proved you could do that. In fact, every one of our agentic systems, from the day we started, had at least 2 agents and a human being involved. And eventually we had one system that had 1,600 agents working on a problem at one point because they can flex in and out. They actually have ability to grow, and they have this concept of being able to hire additional agents. If you need a skill, just hire another agent. You tell them they can do that, they do it. The bottom line, though, is that as we went on that journey, one of the things that we realized, as you are in the front end of technology, you realize what gaps are. And the gap we have right now, which is an industry level gap, is we have no real framework or agreement on the interworking between agents. We've agreed on the communication protocol. It's JSON. It's basically this idea of, it's kind of clear text over a digital interface in a messaging format. And that's actually really cool because you can actually watch agents interact with each other in human language, and you can be a participant, which is pretty powerful. But then a whole bunch of other problems show up, like how do I authenticate an agent? How do I authorize it? How do I share knowledge between agents that aren't working for the same company? How do I do a job prompt, which is how you start these things, but do it in a way that a Dell agent and one of our partners' agents can actually work together? How do I talk to both of them? That's not even clear. And so there's this long list of things that we have to work out. And the good news is that's why I've been out in Silicon Valley recently a lot, is we're working with our technology partners and a lot of the ISVs, and we're all kind of the same opinion. This needs to be solved, and we're going to go solve it. Now, we're not going to solve it probably in a standards development organization over 5 years, and probably won't even get solved as a pure open source project. It will become a set of industry activities that become consensus. And in fact, there's one protocol called Model Context Protocol that Anthropic came out, which is not the solution to the total problem, but it's actually a very good way to have a model talk to data. And it does it in a way that seems well thought out for that particular part of the problem. There's another one, funny enough, we're talking today, that literally yesterday, Google announced something called agent to agent, which looks promising. And it's we kind of know a bit about that, and we think it's kind of an interesting approach to solve maybe some of the authentication, authorization, interworking problems. But we're not there yet. And this is the nature of these technologies, that even though the vision of an agentic environment in the enterprise is not, I have standalone agents doing tasks in isolation. It's this vision of I'm a human and I'm responsible for something very complex. And I'm going to break that down into the functions or the jobs that I need to be done to accomplish that complex task. But because they're agents, they're going to work together as a collective to do that work for me. And by the way, if that sounds familiar, that's exactly how you build human teams. That's exactly how we have always done it, except now part of that team are a set of agents. Some of them may still be people. But because we know that that's really where the value is created, and then extended even further, the real value of human collaboration is not collaboration in your silo. It's collaboration across your enterprise or across your ecosystem. And that requires interworking. And we don't have those standards in place. We don't have them well defined. Now, like everything in AI, considering the term agentic wasn't even really well understood in December when I did my end of year predictions, and I predicted that agentic would be the word of the year in 2025. Every conversation I had to explain what agentic was.
That's my next topic, John. This is weird.
Okay, we'll get there. But anyway, the inner working stuff, we're working on it, and it's moving really fast. The Google announcement yesterday, good progress. We'll see if that carves off more of it. I am 100% confident that before the end of this year, we will at least have de facto approaches to build trustworthy interaction between agents in a reasonable way. It will still be level 4 autonomy, that we will ring fence it. It will not be infinitely flexible. It will not deal with all the corner cases. But the bottom line is I don't need that. I just need my ecosystem to work together in a collaborative way that I trust, and then I can get huge value out of this. So it's a journey, but agents are skills. Skills ultimately are interesting by themselves, but way more interesting when you combine them. They get even more interesting when you combine them across administrative domains and organizations. Agents are following the same path. We're just going to have to invent the way that they actually do that securely and trustworthy, but it will move fast because there's a huge value to doing it, and there's a technical appetite to go solve the problem.
There's a flywheel that can emerge.
Flywheel. It's amazing how fast you're producing a lot of ROI, and there's a lot of value. People move fast in the world. And by the way, a lot of the things that we're going to do are things we've done before. We don't have to invent an entirely new way to authenticate an agent. We just have to decide which way to use a tool that we already have. Authorization, same thing. Knowledge sharing. We have knowledge graphs. We have, there's a lot of people that are talking about using things like confidential compute and a technology I really like called partially homomorphic encryption or homomorphic encryption, which is a kind of cool tool to be able to process data without seeing it. And these things have actually really interesting applicability to things like multi-agent ensembles. So we don't have to invent everything. We just kind of have to take the things we've figured out that maybe could be applied somewhere else and use them the right way to achieve the goal of having a trustworthy collection of agents being able to accomplish a task.